have been to LSI before? And keep your hands raised if you were here last year. Yep, okay. So this is my third, and I decided to mix it up a little bit, at least in part, and also in part because where this technology was birthed was at Google, and in particular, the Moonshot Factory. And we had a saying there: if you wanted to teach monkeys to recite Shakespeare standing on a pedestal, where do you start? You start with the pedestal? No. You start with the monkeys. And so I thought, why not start a presentation with what's hard? Let's do a demo. So NextSense is doing personalized therapeutics for brain health. So what do I have here? So I have our newly created universal fit earbuds. A year ago when I was on the stage, I had custom fit. These are now universal. So these are part of our conductive polymer that's here. And so we've worked a lot of, put a lot of R&D into the comfort and the signal quality. And so it just goes in like this. There we go. And then you can see I have it on the other side as well. And now, for the moment of truth. So, to be fair, the device was on, and it's connected to Bluetooth on my phone. Do we have any neurologists here? Anybody that can look at EEG? All right, so here we go. I'm going to check the signal, and we will see. And indeed, we have signal. So can you verify that there's actually signal coming onto the phone? Yes, all right. So there's no neurologist here, so we can't examine my brain waves, but we can take a look at that afterwards. So I shared a founding story last time that had to do with me going into atrial fibrillation while having a conversation at Google while working on this project. And thankfully the Apple Watch was there. I was diagnosed very quickly, and that gave the inspiration to create these earbuds for people that have irregular brain waves, seizures and epilepsy. I had a similar conviction that came very recently. We acquired a company last year that was focused on in-ear stimulation. The vagus nerve can be stimulated from the ear. We always wanted to have a read-write platform, and I talked about that and have been talking about that, but a distressed market last year provided an opportunity to acquire the assets of a company that was doing in-ear vagal nerve stimulation. When I was at 24-Hour Fitness last month, I saw headlines that caught my attention. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the tragic story of the Mass General nurse. Raise your hand if you saw that in the news. So the headline was, "Dad asks public to forgive his wife." Turns out this very lovely woman, she was a Mass General nurse, had actually strangled her 3 kids while suffering from postpartum depression. So that company that we bought has an FDA breakthrough in postpartum depression for vagus nerve stimulation. So that has convicted me that the read-write platform is time to come, and we're actually going to put postpartum depression first. So I have convictions. I have that the ear unlocks brain health. It's a perfect place to access the brain. You have great signal quality, and you also can stimulate the vagus nerve. I think it's important to have a consumer device look and feel. I personally benefited from wearing the Apple Watch. It has a Class 2 algorithm on it. I'm not reminded that I might have AFib. I think that's important for neurological diseases to remove stigma from things like epilepsy. The SenStim combination is powerful. You have stimulation devices out there, you have EEG devices. To our knowledge, we're the only ones that are bringing this together. And it's very much a medical application focus. Even though we have a consumer look and feel, we're absolutely going through regulatory pathways on both the sensing side and the STEM side. So brain health is a Gordian knot. 60% of those that have been diagnosed with a neurological condition aren't receiving the proper care because it's impossible to get that longitudinal data. It's impossible to get the data outside of the clinic. So courtesy of Wired magazine, we were featured there, that image. We're creating personalized therapeutics. The combination of stimulating in the ear and recording EEG biomarkers gives you the ability to give the objective therapeutic response. We've benefited from a number of R&D contributions from Google, where it started, Heraeus Medical, where we were able to get the polymers patents, UC San Diego, and others to be able to really put this together. We've made a lot of progress in a short period of time only because we're standing on the shoulders of these giants. We have 18 patents, more than 25 published patents, and they fall into these various areas. But you can think of them, we spend a lot of time on form and function, being able to get the comfort factor and the high signal quality. We spend a lot of time on disease indication, around high frequency stim so that you don't feel it. The random control tiles that we've done in the stim side are true stim sham. You can't tell if you're being stimulated or not. They're, again, increasing the conviction that there is something beyond placebo happening. We have the FDA breakthrough for MDD with peripartum onset. It was a 25-subject study, and based on the data that the FDA saw, where standard of care for postpartum, whether it's psychiatric or with drugs or psychotherapy, is about 55% response on the Hamilton D depression score. We had a 74% response, and based on that, the FDA granted us breakthrough last year. It's only 15 minutes a day of stimulation for 6 weeks. We also have the brain biomarker product, and so this is a product that is using the sensing buds. We've been partnering with various pharmaceutical companies. We basically use this to help pharmaceutical companies develop brain drugs because we can give them that closed loop feedback in the wild. They license our algorithms in our data in order to basically accelerate their clinical trials and increase their probability of success in the trials. Here's our pipeline of therapeutics. Think of us as going to have multiple therapeutics over time. Our MDD with peripartum onset is obviously our leading candidate, where we'll be raising funds as part of this round to complete the phase 3 trial. We also have an ongoing study right now with PTSD, the 9/11 victims. We're looking forward to publishing that. We have sleep studies that are published on clinicaltrials.gov for our sleep biomarkers, epilepsy, and then sleep and cognition, the combination of those two. And you can see our various partners there on the right. So we generated $1 million in revenue last year from the brain biomarker platform. We're on track to double that. In many ways, we think of that as non-diluted funding because these are actual pharma commercial contracts. They don't own equity. But it allows us to develop biomarkers that will then be helpful in our therapeutic platform. Because if you think about it, the very things that we're helping to do brain drugs for, we also think could be helpful for our stimulation. So the Sense Stim works pretty well, and we like the fact that pharma is helping us pay the way for that. So we've raised a total of $14 million. We're doing an extension round of about $2.5 to $3 million. We've got about $1.4 million soft circled right now. Our finishing our Series A last year, we finished at 39 post-money valuation. And you can see the areas that are already funded, but what we really want to do is get funding for this pivotal study for the postpartum. I just think it's a critical area. Mental health is huge, and I think that there's something that we can have to offer. So thank you very much for your time and attention.